Now it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Cook, whom I have had the pleasure of serving with on the Kent Chamber of Commerce Board. As many of you know, Suzette used to be the executive director of the Kent and Renton Chambers of Commerce. Having a mayor that understands our process and the needs of the business community has been an integral part of our ongoing relationship with the city. Mayor Cook was first elected to the mayor of Kent in 2005. She has a long career serving the citizens of Kent, including in the state of House of Representatives. Please help me in welcoming Mayor Suzette Cook.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for choosing to be in Kent today, where the sun is shining on us, and I know eventually we're going to hear the roar from downtown Seattle. But it is a real privilege to be able to stand before you again for my 9th State of the City address. So I think to begin with, it's important that we recognize a few of the folks that are present here. We have some elected officials. We have our city, if you'd stand and stay standing when I call your name, we have our City Council President, Dana Ralph. We have new council member, Jim Barrios. We have our own City of Kent judge, Carly Jurgensen. And now I walked around the room, but who else is a local elected official? We have a visiting council member from the city of Algona. And he's on our streets operations staff. Thank you. So thank you. Where do I see? Oh, Jeff, I think of you with, that's right, that's the other hat you wear. City of Covington Council Member Jeff Wagner. And also, many of you know him with Republic Services, so thank you. All right. In addition, I think it's important to introduce, I'd like to begin with you knowing who's here from the city when it comes to our department heads. So I'd like all of our directors of departments to stand. I'm not going to introduce all of you, but would you all please stand? And these are the folks that lead the way for our staff to provide the services that you are most interested in. Of note, I think I'm going to start with Tom Brubaker. Tom is our interim chief administrative officer and has been doing an outstanding job in that role. Thank you, Tom. And new over just a year, when was your 1-year anniversary now, Lorraine? Oh, 2-year anniversary. She's not that new anymore. Seasoned veteran of Human Services, Lorraine Patterson. And so many of you do know that our city clerk, now you have a 1-year anniversary. Ronald Moore. And Ben Walters, Director of Economic and Community Development. We have Tim Laporte with our Public Works Department. And in the back, Chief Ken Thomas. And Ken, you have someone to recognize here today. I do. So we have a new commander, Jared Kasner. And I think that covers it for our staff. And just a note on Jared, how long ago was it that he was elected as the most handsome police officer in the state of Washington? Yeah, we know how to pick him. What we're doing this morning, too, is really looking at our whole community. And among us is an individual who I got to hear give a presentation. He's actually the winner of the Kiwanis Club's essay contest this past year. So Caleb Bilodeau. Caleb, would you come up? This young man has grown, I think, 3 feet since I heard him give his essay at first. but Caleb is an 8th grader at, Caleb. All right, so I heard it wrong. Caleb is an 8th grader at Meeker Middle School. See, I got that wrong too. It's a Meridian Middle School. Kent School District student Caleb Bilodeau. Caleb, what would you like to tell us about?
Oh, I have to get my thing.
Well, you go get your thing. This is where I just want to leave you with the thought, as Caleb prepares to read his essay, that there is so much hope for our future when you have young people like Caleb.
Okay. So I wrote about Kent, and it's called Limitless Opportunities. You know, Kent is enticing. It is one of the 3rd largest cities in King County and the 6th largest city in the state. Kent is filled with diverse cultures and magnificent panoramic views to delight in. To Mount Rainier and the Green River that flows through Kent, to magnificent backdrops on Kent's trails. You'll be stunned at how much there is to do in Kent every day. There are many trails Kent has to offer. For instance, the Sue's Creek Trail, where you can take a 7-mile bike ride through a variety of habitats. The trail's habitat areas include cattail marshes, meadows, and upland forests. You can delight in nature's natural landscapes while you stride along the rolling hills of Kent's East Tail wetlands and observe a wide variety of wildlife. No, I didn't.
Caleb was not clued in, but this is the governor's request at 12:12. We were all to celebrate the Seahawks. Let's hear it one more time, and with you, Caleb.
Okay, Seahawks, 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 Seahawks. Okay, so I'll just start again with the trails. Okay, there are many trails Kent has to offer. For instance, the Sue's Creek Trail, where you can take a 7-mile bike ride through a variety of habitats. The trail's habitats include cattail marshes, meadows, and upland forests. You can delight in nature's natural landscapes while you stride along the rolling hills of Kent's East Tail wetlands and observe a wide variety of wildlife. From thick old-growth woodlands to open grassy fields and wetlands, the Sue's Creek Trail is a perfect opportunity to spend days outdoors. Kent has several places to have thrilling experiences with family and friends. Kent Station has so many entertaining activities to participate in that happen all throughout the year. From meeting Santa Claus in the winter to Easter egg hunts and Halloween celebrations, the events are nonstop. Going to a movie and out to eat is just a few steps away from each other, thanks to the contemporary urban village style Kent Station resembles. It could not be any simpler. There are a variety of shops and restaurants to choose from fast and easy restaurants to 5-star diners. Kent Station has a little something for everybody. Every year, Kent holds a huge event called the Kent Cornucopia. The Cornucopia is 4 days of pure enthusiasm. It is so immense that several streets are closed in order to hold this event. There are so many unseen treasures waiting to be found in local vendor stands. After a long day's quest of scouting out fascinating items, you can take an adventurous trip on roller coasters and many other carnival rides to satisfy your wild side. It is the optimum place to bring family and friends that innovate smiles and laughter. From rolling hills and majestic backdrops on the Sue's Creek Trail, Kent's Cornucopia that will fill your day with memories that will last a lifetime. The Kent Station that will satisfy your hungriest appetite while providing you with an exceptional shopping experience. The opportunities Kent has in store for everyone are endless. All you need to do is take time to relax in the atmosphere to appreciate Kent's culture. That was it. Thank you.
So, folks, this is a young man growing up in our community who not only believes in Kent, but sees Kent from many different angles. And I also want to thank our Kent School District, as well as the Kent Kiwanis Club, for inspiring the kind of creativity that helped put those visions together in words. Thank you, Caleb. Well, that little interruption at 12:12 truly was a governor's request that we all celebrate the Seahawks at 12:12. And I don't think Caleb was included in being alerted to that. But what a way to learn about just go with the flow. Sometimes there's things that happen outside of our control. I think what's even more important as we look at ourselves, the individuals in this room and the community at large, is what kind of a team are we as a community? It's often said there's no I in team. But folks, if you actually look at team, it does have a me in it. And if you put on your younger hat of the kids today, you will note that the I has been replaced by me. Me go here. Me see my friend. Somehow the I is slipping from our lexicon as a major subject, but me has taken its place. And what I'm going to talk about today really is an assortment of me's in this community to make the team of Kent be as great as we are, as we look to providing the best value for people's lives that are here. So when we think about teams, obviously today Seahawks take the front stage, but the Thunderbirds have been playing pretty darn awesome today, wouldn't you say? Seattle Thunderbirds, oh my gosh. So we have a winning team right here at the ShoWare Center, and ShoWare Center itself has been performing as we had hoped it would when it comes to being a regional attraction. So we had 1.9 million visitors come through the doors and into downtown Kent. Hosted over 400 community events with graduations, the Kent School District Technology Expo, Rotary dinners, fundraisers, etc. And we're seeing 95% attendance for family shows like Disney on Ice and the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So with the Seattle Thunderbirds having their best season yet at ShoWare, it certainly helps the bottom line. It's the food, the beverages that are purchased during those games that really helps us make our budget on ShoWare. So while we are pumping in an average of $23 million a year, $23 million a year into the local economy, and we receive $580,000 a year in tax revenues back to the city with this facility. So ShoWare is a contributor to our success. Another major contributor to our success, while they may not have major manufacturing directly in Kent, the Boeing Company is huge. We have over 50 suppliers to aerospace here in Kent. All kinds of manufacturing from that end, and distributors of very expensive glues and adhesives and paints, etc., that have relocated to Kent to be closer to our burgeoning aerospace business. Recently, what received a lot of attention was the union contract with the machinists. And while some may wonder, what's the Kent mayor doing getting involved in a union contract in asking people to vote yes, to the machinist union members to vote yes on that contract? Well, it has to do with our future, our economic future, the jobs in this community. We have thousands of jobs that depend on Boeing here. And without that contract, it was very clear that Boeing was not going to build the 777X here in Puget Sound. Without that happening, it was really a death knell for the future of aerospace related to Boeing in this area. So while it was a tough contract to have it negotiated for the members in the public's eye, so to speak, to have so much weighing on them, it was the right vote to take for the future of thousands of others in this Puget Sound area. Some of the companies that we can certainly celebrate here as part of the aerospace business, we have Carlisle Interconnect, Hexcel, exotic metals. And one that just moved here was Graco, which is a distributor of these very expensive paints and adhesives and such. So they have moved here, they located here to be right at the center of the aerospace industry itself. And they have added hundreds of higher wage jobs for everyone. But Boeing isn't the only one with investments here in Kent. We can look at all sizes of businesses and redevelopments that are occurring. Certainly one that's in the news right now is a much-needed makeover of the marketplace at Lake Meridian. So it's going to get a total facelift. If you don't know where the marketplace is, think of Kent Kangley, 132nd. It's the northwest corner of that where Bartels is located. And the 24-hour fitness. So that is, as a neighborhood shopping center, it has a multi-million-dollar upgrade underway that should be finished by this fall. It's going to have, as well, one of the worst-kept secrets as far as a company coming here. It's going to have Trader Joe's. Now, I know the Kent Downtown Partnership has to be very distressed at this because our Kent Downtown Partnership worked for years in trying to get Trader Joe's to locate downtown. There were hundreds of people that signed petitions. How long has this been going on, Barbara? Yeah, I think it's gone on for at least 15 years to try to attract Trader Joe's. But East Hill gets it. We'll share some of that business with Covington, and we'll attract you folks from the east of Kent side. So I think another one that we can look at with a history in Kent, Smith Brothers Farms. How many of you went on to the ribbon cutting and tour of Smith Brothers Farms here in the valley? Amazing. The technology, what it's done for milk and milk products. Smith Brothers, an icon of this community for generations, wanted to stay in Kent, first of all. They chose to stay in the community of their roots, and they moved on the other side of the river, of the Green River, to an area that they converted to a state-of-the-art manufacturing and warehouse center. I want to thank them for choosing to stay in Kent. And then Carponitos, which is again another icon of Kent, they bought 225 acres from Smith Brothers and will now expand their farmland to increase their locally grown produce. So 2 great companies that have been here for generations. A new one that came to town, Isernio Sausage. And they, too, are taking an older warehouse. They took it and converted it. They did all the retrofitting for a state-of-the-art warehouse facility for manufacturing their sausage and distribution. That is a kind of company, when you talk about an entrepreneurial spirit, it started in a garage in West Seattle. And now here they are in Kent, booming. And we can't forget some of the other softer sides of business. Let's look at Allegro Performing Arts. What a wonderful addition that is to our downtown. Allegro Performing Arts has moved from South Central to a little further north, still on South Central and Gow Street. And I think the previous place, it was called, what, Stupid Prices? Is that right? It was a print company after that, but I remember Stupid Prices, and somehow having Allegro Performing Arts there is a real, real plus. Families come from all over to get the kind of talent in dance that is provided by Allegro, which has had performers now throughout the world. Downtown, we think about, oh my goodness, when is downtown going to get it all together? Step by step, business by business. And one of those businesses that is certainly bringing a great sense of, it's a sense of camaraderie and spirit, is Airways Brewery. When you think, yeah. So I just think, now, Dion Dittmar, where are you? Did I see Dion here? There you are. And Dion and Robbie Leviton, stand up. Dion and Robbie, these are the co-owners of Airways Brewery. And what's this about your big expansion? What are you doing there at the old Mark Square? You're expanding for, what, 150 seating you're going to have now in total, and a family area, and an enclosed outdoor patio? Yes. Because you have more customers than you can accommodate. And you're still testing new brews. Always testing new brews. So thank you so much for being a real spirit for the downtown area. We also look downtown to a corner that we can, where is it from here? Right across the way. Isn't it great to see a crane in downtown Kent again? So the platform, this is the new apartment complex that is being built on the corner of Smith and 4th. This is Goodman Real Estate, which is a prime, very quality developer, building our first set of really posh apartments that will be for the up-and-comers. These will be small units that are particularly attractive to folks that don't want the hassle of having to drive. They'll be close to the transit center for rail. They've got bike paths connecting them with the interurban trail. It's just so many opportunities for a downtown lifestyle to happen here. It'll be 5 stories. The bottom story will have some retail. There'll be 35 public parking spaces and 176 apartments. So not only is this a real positive aspect for the future of downtown, it's helping to change people's attitudes as what is possible. We have said for years, for the downtown to thrive, it needs customers that are closer. So here's an opportunity for more entrepreneurial activities within our core downtown. Some may wonder, why do these companies choose Kent? Well, certainly, many people talk about our location. We are, after all, the 4th largest warehouse distribution center in the nation. Location is huge for manufacturing and distribution. But also, we look at all of our education facilities. I know Green River is represented here today, Green River Community College, yes. And we have, I don't know if there's other higher ed facilities represented here, but we have had a large number of education facilities looking to this area because we have a wealth of people who are eager to learn and gain skills. We have the freeway system for the distribution of goods as well as for people to get here. And we look at our education system itself in the K through 12. Both Kent and Federal Way School Districts are noted for their quality of education. And I'd like Dr. Vargas to stand. Dr. Vargas, Superintendent of the Kent School District. There's a man with enormous amount of ideas that he puts to action through the quality staff that he hires. He is just a delight to listen to the experiences that youth and their families are having in growing with the Kent School District. So it is awesome to have that kind of return on our investment. And all of us know we're going to vote before Tuesday to continue to support our Kent School District being the best in all of its learning activities and technology, right? Next Tuesday, vote. We also have been fortunate to receive grants from government as well as private organizations. But in particular, recently, we've received $5 million from the State Department of Transportation Improvement Board. This is the TIB, as it's called, to extend South 224th Street over Highway 167, which will then link into that corridor that goes up to the Benson. Now, some have said that's a street to nowhere. Well, I will beg to differ. Mark my words. How many of you think here that you're going to stop the coal trains from running through the Burlington Northern tracks? Who thinks you're going to stop them? Oh, we got two optimists over here. When those coal trains begin running through, and it may be another decade, 12 years, but it's coming. No matter how much we tried, railroads own this country. They built this country. The country built around them. You will see so much congestion occurring at grade crossings that you will want to find another way where you're not going to be sitting there for 20 minutes for a 1-mile train to go by. No matter what speed they say they go at, I guarantee you they'll go slower than what they're predicting. You will therefore see actually our 224th and the connection 228th as it is, much busier. People will choose that route instead of having to go over the tracks. Why don't we build more grade separations? Because the cost is so huge. And City of Kent doesn't have that kind of money, and we're not going to have it without it coming from federal and state governments. Our transportation dollars are so slim. So thanks to the state for the grant to get over the freeway to make that route more accessible for folks. Thanks to the state for the interurban trail connector. It's a paved bike path that is going to be from South 228th to the interurban trail and the West Valley Highway. This is going to be part of an important connection for our employees, like at REI, and so many of our manufacturers that have bicyclists who prefer to use that mode as their way to work. And we have a $300,000 federal grant to begin improvements on South Central Avenue. Now, don't get too excited, Dolores Christensen. That South Central Avenue has to be totally rebuilt. So $300,000 at least begins the process. Tim Laporte, would you stand up again? Tim is the man at the point here when it comes to all these street projects with his staff, with engineers and operations, when it comes to sidewalk repairs, etc. One of the things that I'm going to ask our city council this year is to focus on our community connections when it comes to the sidewalks and the neighborhood streets that connect neighborhoods for safety purposes. So that is a priority I would like to see addressed. And Tim, thank you and your crew for helping us. We talk about not having enough money. Well, Standard & Poor's, as you may recall, we got hit a couple times over the years with our credit rating. Standard & Poor's has actually upgraded our credit rating to what it was before the recession. And that could not have happened without a city council that was committed to helping us rebuild our reserves and to be very frugal when it came to not only what we're spending on, but what we're actually doing as a city. So I want to thank the council for adopting financial policies that have helped us get here. And I want to thank all of the businesses that have helped us through the business and occupation tax. Thank you for paying the business and occupation tax to help this city rebuild from the recession. Not a lot of cheers on B&O tax. Not surprising. But when we look at the budget, we have rebuilt our 10% reserve, and the council passed a resolution last night to actually build it even further with aspirations towards enough money in reserves to be able to weather another recession at some future time. When we look at our parks, our infrastructure, you all know that they are having some real challenges, again, with funding. Parks are getting old. Some are, we have still the dock, for example, at Lake Meridian, that is either going to have to be repaired or we're going to have to pay about $500,000 to take out that dock. It's still going to cost us to get rid of it because it becomes a real risk for problems with people getting caught if that dock were simply to sink. We know we have walkways that need to be repaired. There's just so much, an insatiable appetite for this community to come up to a level of quality that we deserve. So when we look at our future with that, we also have to think about the Par 3 golf course. Talk about being in the eye of the storm. It has become one of the points of discussion on, it's not the money loser by itself, but the whole golf course program has been very expensive. And we have to look at, where do we cut our losses? How can we best reinvest what we have? And yet not to cut out the older people that like to use the Par 3 or the new players or the youth. There's a lot of emotional ties to that, and the City Council has a great challenge ahead of it as it works with our parks team and the public to find a solution. But I'm very optimistic because I see folks wanting to keep the value of that recreational and educational side of our provision, but knowing that we cannot keep maintaining lands where we don't have the money to maintain them. So Par 3 may or may not exist by next year. And any of you that have some suggestions, I know Council President Ralph and her team are very eager to hear from you. When we look at education in the city, some cities actually, the mayor's in charge of education. It seems so strange to me. I can't imagine doing Dr. Vargas's job on top of mine. At the same time, we have a great partnership with the Kent School District and with the Federal Way School District to serve our residents on West Hill. After-school programs are key as we look at the future of this community. We have so many bright students that have come here from other countries. We have so many students that have never seen a day of school, and they're 18 years old. So what a mix, what a challenge that our school districts are rising to address. But we're working with the school districts, in particular with the Roadmap Project, which you may have heard about through the Communities in Education Results program. This is a grant to really gear towards the schools, towards our youth, and getting them thinking about and aiming towards education outside of K through 12, getting them graduated and helping them get scholarships for their future in education so they can get better paying jobs. We're also working with the YMCA, and I think our key, would you stand up and introduce yourself from the YMCA representative, a real person in our audience?
My name's Nathan Phillips from the YMCA.
And Nathan Phillips from the YMCA, why are you here?
Some folks in the Kent community have approached the YMCA about the possibility of building a location in Kent. And right now we're in a kind of a listening phase and talking with folks in Kent communities about what kind of, why they think might work here.
So what do you think, folks? You think it's time? It's time for a YMCA. We were skipped over by the Ys, YM, YW, the Boys and Girls Club. Kent got skipped over because the city used to provide it all. That's not in our future. The city, it cannot be the provider of all the services, but we can sure help connect those who do provide those services, privately, nonprofits. We can connect them with the community and help the community embrace them. So thank you, Nathan, for joining us today. We also look at the after-school programs that are conducted with our community center at Phoenix Academy and some of our schools. It's also a learning environment. That's where we have a music room, a recording studio that was actually a fundraiser put on by the Parks Foundation. So people see a need and they will come together for that. We have a new group that's forming in Kent. It's called Impact. It's actually a music group. There's citizens in this community that are, their desire is to form a band in Kent for youth, including helping them secure instruments. So any of you that have an interest in music, please let me know so I can connect you to Jim Renton and others who are heading that up. We look at the public safety. When kids are engaged after school, you hope they stay in school where they're engaged during the day, but when school lets out, that is where there's a propensity for kids to get in trouble. So these after-school programs are so critical. And they, along with job opportunity for youth, are found to be the biggest preventive measures for kids to not only be burglarizing houses or getting around cars, but also for them to have a view of their future in a positive manner. Public safety will be improved as we improve these after-school programs. And helping us do that, we are part of the Suburban King County Coordinating Council on Gangs. We, the Kent School District, Federal Way School District, other cities in South King County have been spending 2 years in determining what programs, what services would be best to improve our communities and prevent the formation of gangs. And it starts, folks, in grade school for some of these kids. So, document that we just released yesterday, Community Assessment and Implementation Plan. This now will be available online, but it is 2 years worth of work of collecting data, which included even coming together with defining that data so we were all singing from the same sheet of music. Definitions coming together from our police departments, from our courts. And this is, we're working through this under the Center for Children and Youth Justice that Bobby Bridge has headed up for years. But we have a federal grant now to put this implementation plan into action. And talk about partnerships. These partnerships will span across all of us, including we need you in the business community. We need the Chamber of Commerce to step up to the plate with us on this in finding avenues for youth to get engaged in what their future could be as they gain skills. Why should they learn about math, science, engineering, and technology? Let's put it to work. We have among the many folks that are involved in public safety are those that are working with the homeless. And I say public safety because that's the broader term. It's the safety of the individuals who are homeless. Many of them do need intervention when it comes to perhaps the drug dependencies, when it comes to mental health issues, because we as a state don't invest enough in our people with mental health problems. And so we see them wandering. But kudos to all of you who have really stepped up to that challenge, whether it's Kent Hope, Holy Spirit, with its new women's shelter that opened up. Do you want to stand up? And Holy Spirit just opened up a women's shelter for about 15 to 18 women a night that come there.
We're full.
They're full. And they are taking volunteers to serve these women.
Volunteers to serve the women and also volunteers to fill in for meals for our homeless men that we have also.
So meals for the homeless men, they need volunteers. Catholic Community Services is providing a lot of those services for men and women throughout the area. So thank you. And Jim Barrios, you've been involved in this with the business community. So thank you, Jim, for being a representative on the internal task force as well. That's trying to find solutions, not just move people around. When we look at how we're improving ourselves, we have certainly seen improvements in people coming together on East Hill. When we talk about what value added there can be to a community. The Kent East Hill Revitalization Committee, and the Chamber also has a committee for the East Hill, looking at how do we look as East Hill and what is in it for the families and the businesses that we can work better together and clean up our act. And I want to thank you for putting energy into that. In fact, Kent East Hill Revitalization Committee actually now has an executive who is working to coordinate those activities. When we think about all of the people that have moved up there in those mini apartments, it's easy to look at the negative side of it because that's where we have a lot of police activity with folks that haven't learned quite what rules we need to live by to be good neighbors. But it also is a beginnings for so many of our new residents. And Kent is a majority-minority community now when it comes to race. That does not include the Iraqis, the Ukrainians, the Russians. I mean, they're all Caucasian, so they're in the 49% of the population. We've had a huge in-migration of folks from around the world. And with that, we've celebrated them at our international festival, which we started a few years back. It's grown, in fact, to the point it's going to be at Showware this year. May 31st, the international festival will be here, representing countries from around the world. There'll be stages for entertainment as well as education. Like in Turkey. Did you know that in Turkey, a man and woman who are considering marrying depends a lot on how the woman fixes his Turkish coffee for him on a date? If she doesn't like him, I bet you it doesn't have much sugar. There's just fascinating things. Or the turbans, 5 yards of material. How do you do that? So we have always had that. We've had a mayor's advisory team representing diverse communities in this community that had evolved out of our diversity advisory board. Well, one of the requests I'm going to make of the city council is they consider a new ordinance. It's actually a revised ordinance for the city that would establish a cultural communities communication council. Cultural Communities Communication Council. We are in so much need of learning about each other, learning about those that have come here. And if we don't reach out to them, they aren't going to know what to do, how to do it. They aren't going to know us. Within the city, we've been going through some training with all of our employees. It's called Respect. This isn't just diversity training. Respect is all inclusive. How you look, not just the color of your skin, how you speak. How do you get to know somebody if you never ask them? So it's huge on communications. And to empower the council to have a better sense of the multiple communities that are here. You cannot have a community where 138 different languages are spoken in the homes of the children without having a major effort towards communication. So thank you, President Ralph, for working together with me on forming this Cultural Communities Communication Council. We are a city full of partners, and one of the partners I didn't really expect to see was Disney. Did you know Disney was a partner with our Kaboom project on East Hill? It is so awesome. All of the kids, and one woman grabbed me and just bawled. She cried. She lived right there next to the park. What's the name of the park? Turnkey Park. She lived next to Turnkey Park. And she couldn't believe that the city would invest with so many volunteers coming forth of all ages into her neighborhood park. She was so joyful. That's what it's all about, again, when we look at adding value, raising people in their aspect of life, how they can respect their community because their community respects them. We look at our partnership with all of the volunteers, whether it was the second annual Kent Green Day, we had 105 volunteers show up to plant seedlings in our natural resource area, the Green River Natural Resources area. 105 volunteers on one day in October 26th. It's amazing to get that kind of a turnout. And we have so many businesses and organizations that are also helping these folks find jobs. Finding jobs with the immigrant population, with the Jewish Family Services. We have the Women Employment and Education. We have Neighborhood House, Multi-Service Center, Refugee Federation Service Center, TRAC, T-R-A-C, Associates, SCAC Industries. Both of these, TRAC and SCAC, deal with people with disabilities. We have Welcome Home, helping people find jobs. And in that sense, it is the core of our energy coming from businesses like you providing those jobs, because you're giving people a sense of stability. When we weathered through this recession, as we continue to work our way through the recovery, I just would really request that all of you continue to think about what wonderful opportunities we have, or as Caleb stated, we have limitless possibilities. And in order to make those possibilities real, we as a team, this community as a team, has got to consider the me in team, each and every one of us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Cook, for presenting the state of the city, and thank you all for coming to the February luncheon.